But I would say it's more about a change of messaging. If you communicate every day, but your message is, 20% off something that people don't care about right now, you're not resonating. I think that it's about making sure that you're telling your customers things that they care about, how your business can impact their families, their communities, their well-being right now.
Welcome to another episode of Women Worldwide. Wherever you are, thank you so much for showing up. We know you have a lot going on in your lives today, and we really appreciate that you're tuning in, you're sharing, and most of all, you're letting us know that the stories of our guests are helping and that you appreciate the advice. That's our goal. Please know that you are never alone and that you can always reach out. We are a network together. Okay, let's get to today's show and topic. The topic is really timely because it's brand resiliency. We're in the thick of COVID-19, and what happens when we come out of this? Who will be the brands or what brands will be recognized? Which ones will maintain their momentum? How do they bounce back? Well, that has a lot to do with how they help their customers and their communication. So the perfect guest, of course, I have joining me on the show today is Samantha, Sam for short, Shattuck. She is the Director of Marketing for North American Bancard. She has years of experience in the payment industry, and she strategically guides the internal and external communication for a family of 10 plus brands. So rather than me going on and on about Sam, it's time to welcome her to the show. Sam, welcome. It's great to have you on Women Worldwide.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate the opportunity to speak right now.
I know. Well, the timing is perfect. First off, how is everything going in your world? I'm thinking you're working remotely.
Oh, yes. We are all remote right now. It was really crazy. It was like a whirlwind couple days where it was like, all right, can we work remote? How do we make sure everybody is stood up and ready to go? And it was really all hands on deck. But yeah, working remote is quite a change for us over here.
I can imagine, but it's really good that you were able to get this jump started so quickly. And a lot of brands are doing that. Now, before we dive into the resiliency and some of the things that you're doing, just got to ask that question about your journey. What led you to financial tech, brand marketing, and communications?
You know what? It was actually not something that I was really planning on going into in any capacity. It's not something I really had a huge passion for. My roots really were in nonprofits. I really wanted to make the world a better place. And I was stuck on that trajectory for so long. And then all of a sudden this opportunity at North American Bancard popped up. And, after 9 years here, I've realized that we are helping people, but just in a very, very different way. Whether it's having helping a business owner find a solution to a problem that they're having, or creating secure transactions for consumers. It's helping something. It's helping someone in a really meaningful way because it impacts their livelihood. Before I was like, the only way to do that was a nonprofit, and I was very wrong. So, I kind of found a passion for it as I went through.
That's really interesting. As soon as I hear somebody say I was stuck, it's time to pivot. And the fact that you're helping. So, Sam, what would you say now about helping your customers? It's different. These times are completely different, and they need to hear from brands in different ways. So what do you recommend to all those Women Worldwide listeners out there?
I definitely think right now all about communication. A lot of people have had to shift the way that they're doing business or even close because of state mandate. And that's really, really challenging. And it kind of brings you down a little bit. And you sit there and you wonder how you're going to be top of mind to your customers and how you're going to, be resilient during this time. And I think that communication is so key. Social media, platforms like MailChimp and Emma that allow you to quickly, easily, and, kind of inexpensively communicate with your customers, even if you're closed, keeps those lines of communication open. So I would say that, right now it's not a time to back down and just kind of, sit on the sidelines. It's a time to communicate in a different way than what you're used to.
No, that's really smart what you said, not backing down. And also with the communication, do you feel like it's more communication, but it's meaningful communication? So has it ramped up or is it about the same? What do you think?
I think it can be both, but I would say it's more about a change of messaging. It's, if you communicate every day, but your message is, 20% off something that people don't care about right now, you're not resonating. I think that it's about making sure that you're telling your customers things that they care about, how your business can impact their families, their communities, their well-being right now versus just saying, oh, hey, we have this 20% off coupon for you to spring clean. It's a very different message versus how many times I can send something out to somebody.
Right. Absolutely. Things they care about. That is so crucial. Okay, I'm going to put you on the spot.
Oh, no.
I don't normally do this, but I was a part of a tweet chat last week. And, one of the questions, it was like fill in the blank. Brands that deserve our business are the brands that fill in that blank.
I would say care about their employees right now.
That's what I said. Same. That's exactly what I said. Were you on that tweet chat? It was a really fun Twitter chat.
I promise you I was not. But, I look at things, and this is not to bash anybody by any means, but you look at some of the large companies and how they're treating some of their employees. And you're like, how a company this large can be so callous is just, it's challenging. And it makes me as a consumer rethink wanting to do business with them. And then you look at small businesses that are sending free food to hospitals or, or still trying to pay their employees until the end of the month or keep them on health insurance right now, even though they were laid off or furloughed. Those are little things that while, they might not seem big, they are big to a lot of people. And
That's
so
right.
it's really important right now to take a look at, how people are reacting and how companies are reacting, because I think that shows true colors.
Absolutely. And it's almost, we have to learn not to react, but to respond and to respond appropriately in these times. And I think a lot has to do, people take note on how companies treat employees. And I like to say, there needs to be a lot more emotional intelligence and empathy weaved in there. Very, very big
I definitely think so as well.
So I want to pivot a little bit to, you are a woman in financial and tech. It is a male-dominated world. How do you find yourself during these times, or even prior to this? How do you make yourself heard and stand out and stay confident and strong?
It's a journey. I wish I could, go down a list of things that we as women should be doing. And it's just not that simple. I started in this, I started out very young and I was very intimidated. I was very shy and quiet. And I assumed that people with more experience or people at a higher level, their opinions meant more. And so, I would dutifully take my notes and I would say, oh, that makes sense. But in retrospect, I look at that and I say, that didn't make any sense. Why didn't I speak up more? Why did I think that, being in a male-dominated industry and being a young female, that my opinion didn't mean as much?
Right.
So I think that, it's really important to know that your opinion matters and realize that as a female, we do need to work twice as hard to make sure that we're speaking clearly and confidently in situations where perhaps you're the only female in the room. You're in there for a reason and your voice matters. So I just think constantly reminding yourself of that, whether it's sitting in the mirror 5 minutes before a meeting and building yourself up, or, talking to another female colleague about your ideas, whatever it is. I think it's so important, especially in a male-dominated industry, to make sure that you're actually speaking how you feel instead of just kind of, sitting on the sidelines and taking notes. I think another one is be yourself. We as females, we get so many different contradicting messages. Wear your hair up, wear only black, wear bright colors, smile more, smile less if you want to be taken more seriously. And we try to follow this path that we think will lead us to success. And we're set up to fail in that way. So I think that respect will be given more frequently if you are consistently and unapologetically yourself. If you're not changing your ideas just to fit into some type of mold that people think that you think people want to see you in. So I definitely think that being yourself is so key in a male-dominated industry. You don't have to like sports just because you're in a room full of men, I promise.
Oh my gosh, that's so freeing, so liberating to hear you say this. It's funny, I was told once, don't wear yellow. Oh my gosh. What's wrong with yellow?
Oh, it's too much, too bright.
Too much. Don't. You can wear red, but don't wear yellow. Sam, I'm going to ask you to hold your thoughts just for a moment. We're going to pivot a little bit to give recognition to today's sponsor, who is Routledge Publishing. And I don't know if you know Routledge, but they're one of the world's largest publishers of textbooks and academic journals. And they're also the publisher of my book, Answers for Modern Communicators. And Sam, so I wrote this book. I curated over 150, I guess you could say, frequently asked questions about building relationships, reputation management, being more social with your brand, elevating your content. And I thought it'd be fun if you answered a question that I've already answered in the book. So are you game?
I'm ready.
All right, let's have some fun with this. Question 125 is your question. How does social media help you to avoid brand damage?
Oh, so social media is one of those things that I feel like is so easy to use. And, it's how you interact with your customers. So you can get reviews, positive reviews to make sure that your brand looks good online. You can communicate with your customers. Even if there's a complaint on there, you can at least show that you're responding and engaging so that people don't think you're ignoring. And then you can always be constantly retweeting or reusing other people's articles so that you can show that you're in constant communication and looking at other brands and how they're doing things. So social media is so key right now, especially during, quarantine in this pandemic.
Yes, that was a really good answer. So thank you. Thank you for answering the question. And a big thanks to Routledge for sponsoring this episode of Women Worldwide. Okay, Sam, let's jump back into our discussion. So, you were actually giving advice to your 21-year-old self in the last segment, which was really cool, about how you kind of have to be yourself and break out of that mold. And I'm just wondering if you could share with us either some kind of aha moment, that learning experience that really stuck with you, or even if it was uh-oh moment, that too. So
I swear I have aha moments every day. I feel like I learn something new every single day. And I've had many uh-oh moments, that's for sure. But I don't know if it was necessarily a moment, but I would say it was the time frame that I learned how important content is. I came from this world where if you spent $2, you better be making five. I mean, it was that stringent from an ROI perspective.
that's the financial world.
Yes, yes.
Every dollar.
Oh, every dollar counts and every
Right.
dollar must
It's
mean
like
something.
it's your own.
Exactly. And, all of a sudden with this shift of how business owners are learning about their options and how much competition there is out there, consumers and business owners are getting smarter. And
Oh,
they
yes.
realize when an ad is paid for versus when there's a real life example of how a business was impacted by your services. They know. And so it's all of a sudden there's this shift of social media and case studies and white papers and webinars and all of these different ways that you can communicate and get the word out there of your brand outside of just a paid ad. And so I think it was this time frame where I was like, why are we doing all of these paid things when we could just be really working with our customers and creating a good experience that they want to talk about on our behalf without us doing anything?
Absolutely. That earned media is so
Yes.
important. And I mean, earned media is not just having a media outlet write about you. Earned media is your customer saying what a great experience or something that you did for them that they're just so happy about, as well as there's owned media, right? There's
Yep.
shared media,
Yep.
and of course the paid media.
Absolutely. And it's so important to get that word out there, and word of mouth and referrals. I mean, those are going to be your hot leads versus, someone that just pops into a Google page and fills out a form.
Exactly.
It's a very different type of way of marketing. And I would, that time frame where I learned that, it was just like oh my gosh, what have I been missing?
That's so funny. What have I been missing? So, what about? I mean, I know that you came from a world of nonprofit. You're now in a world of finance, financial, payment industry. Challenges are different, or are they the same? Do you face any challenges today? I think our listeners generally like to know that successful people who have careers and are doing great things, they're still facing some challenges. So what do you think?
Yes, challenges, especially right now. It's almost overwhelming how many challenges there are, whether it's, communicating with your customers. That's one that I've personally felt right now. A lot of our small businesses are kind of shut down,
Oh, so
or
hard.
they're operating in a very, very different way. And they're so overwhelmed with trying to get their business operating differently that they don't have time for me. I mean, I don't blame them, but
You don't take it personally.
no, I don't. But at the same time, it's hard to then let them know that you're there for them,
Right.
and make your communications count and matter. So right now there's a lot of different challenges, whether it's communication, whether it's, having to furlough or lay off employees and, still make sure that you're maintaining your business as usual. There's just so much right now. So resiliency and just working hard and knowing that there will be an end to this. We will get back up.
Absolutely.
And, as a country, as a community, as a business, whatever you're operating in right now, we will all come back. And it's really important to know that, picking yourself up is just as important as, maintaining what you currently have going.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that. What about stress? Do you have days recently where you feel stressed, and what do you do to combat that?
Absolutely. It's almost overwhelming. I'm also planning for maternity leave right now.
Oh my
So
gosh, congratulations.
thank you.
How
Um,
wonderful.
yes. So in just 8 weeks, I'll, be on maternity leave. So trying to plan for that and, deal with the situation right now, the stress is just astronomical. But it's one of the things that my husband and I have created a schedule. It's so easy to like roll out of bed right now, grab your cup of coffee at 7 a.m. and then continue working until 8 p.m. You don't realize that it's all of a sudden, right. You don't realize that it's been a 13-hour workday. So we had to create some type of schedule to make sure that we weren't just having that, mundane, constant feeling of, uncertainty and frustration and burnout.
Yeah.
So we created our schedule, hop on at normal time, end at normal time. Doing yoga has been so helpful. Getting outside, I know that's so small, but just being able to get outside.
That's so good. Right? Going outside it's all important.
Yes.
From the yoga to the schedule, going outside, you have to be good to you.
Yes. Right now it's all about self-care. And I think that, it's kind of been a buzzword lately, self-care, but I think right now, you have time to do it. And this is, I think, really the first time that we as a country have had time to give ourselves self-care. And so whatever that means to you. But yeah, I think it's so important right now to make sure that you are, in touch with how you feel and, not trying to bury it, because I think it's so easy to want to do that too. If that's how you deal with things. But I think we have to realize what we can handle right now and know that there is an end in sight.
That is so true. And we should all remember that, because it helps to get through tough challenges and obstacles. But I think what's key is you said about the self-care. And you have to take time. The time is there. It's you making it the priority, right?
Exactly.
Like put that on your schedule and your calendar. So Sam, you've shared a lot of advice, but just to round it out, some parting advice for everybody who is tuning in, or maybe they're watching on YouTube. Maybe you just give some parting advice about the brand resiliency and what happens when we go back to normal times.
I think, one piece of advice I really want to make sure that people truly remember is that, we shouldn't go back to normal. We should move forward, and we should find ways to, change the way that we're doing business and change the way that we are as consumers or as family members or friends or whatever it is. Why did it take this for me to talk to my grandma on Zoom?
What a great point.
I think that this is a time that we can, change how we're doing business and change how we are as people, and not just go back to normal. So that would be my piece of advice. Don't just do what worked for you pre-pandemic. Find what works for you now and find what works for you post. And that might look different, and that's okay. That's completely okay to reinvent how you're doing things right now.
Different is good. Sam, that was brilliant. Thank you. Excellent advice. Last question, super easy. Where can people find out more about you and North American Bancard?
Sure. LinkedIn, all of my information is on LinkedIn. I love to talk about women in the workplace, to talk about marketing and leadership. So definitely, contact me through LinkedIn. That's probably the main go-to. I also have Instagram, Facebook, any of those are great as well. But LinkedIn for sure.
Awesome. Well, fantastic. Thank you so much for sharing your journey, giving excellent advice, and being here with us to talk about brand resiliency. So thank you for your time.
Of course. No, I appreciate your time as well. Thank you.
You're welcome. And to all of you out there, thank you so much for tuning in. Remember, you can always reach out to me. I'm at Dee Breckenridge on Twitter. So you know how to find me. Keep the feedback coming. We appreciate you. Please take care, be well, stay healthy, and see you again soon.